Hey everyone and welcome to today's video. With this video I want to start a new series in which you can watch me plan and craft an album. And of course for planning I will use my new digital mini album planner. So if you haven't watched it yet, then I would highly recommend you to watch my previous video in which I share all the details about this amazing new tool. And you can find it either linked in the description box, but I will also link it in the top corner right now. And for the first album I want to make in this series using this planner, I actually chose to use a physical paper collection. So as said in the information video, you can use this planner for either digital paper collections or physical paper collections. And the collection I chose for this album is a collection by Kaisercraft, which is called Tiny Miracle. And this is actually not a recent collection, so I had this paper collection in my stash for quite a while. And I really wanted to save this collection for a special album because I just love it so much. It's a beautiful collection, and unfortunately Kaisercraft doesn't sell their collections as digital collections as well, so I have the physical collection and that's what I'm going to use. And I can just use the papers I have in my stash. I wish I could get more of those collection items. But yeah, as you can see, I got the 12 by 12 inch paper pack. And then I also got the 6 by 6 inch paper pad and the ephemera pieces, as well as some cards, which I will show you in a minute. And I actually got 2 of the larger collection kits and also 2 of the paper pads. And I knew I wanted to make a large 8 by 8 inch mini album with it. However, I especially loved the 6 by 6 inch paper pad for all the cutouts it included. And if you know my channel, you know that I love using journaling cards in my albums, and the collection kit actually did include one 12 by 12 inch sheet of cards. However, these weren't like in the larger sizes. So what I did, I also got these matching greeting cards by Kaisercraft, which are actually not in the size 4 by 6 inches, but 5 by 7 inches. And then, as I said, I also got the ephemera pieces, so I actually got 2 of these ephemera packs. And with that, I have a lot of decorative elements I could use to decorate my album. However, as I said, I really love using journaling cards, and I actually designed my interactive page tiles to work with these like standard sized journaling cards. But as you can see, the cutter pads in this collection on this 12 by 12 sheet are in very random sizes. And the same applies to the cutter pads in the 6 by 6 inch paper pads. So even though I have a lot of decorative elements, they actually don't go so well or not as easily with my interactive page tiles. But that doesn't mean that you can't use them just perfectly when using my digital planner. So if you have watched my previous video about my digital planner, then you know already that it's the best tool to actually find perfect cutouts for decorating your albums. And as I said, that's definitely my favorite feature of the digital mini album planner when using with a physical paper collection. So now that you got a quick overview of the collection we are using, let's start with opening our digital mini album planner in Canva. And the design I chose for this album is my album style No.1. And this means that this album is going to have 5 hinges, so 5 basic pages as well as 5 additional page flaps. And that gives me 11 double pages to add my interactive page tiles to. But before adding any interactive elements as well as decorating the album, we have to insert our paper collection. And as I said, there is no digital collection available by Kaisercraft, so I had to digitalize my papers myself. And the way I did it is by actually scanning them in, and I had them scanned in at a copy shop. And I noticed that this is actually an option which I didn't mention in my previous video. So I told you that you could use your like scanning app, or you could use your scanner if you have one at home. But you could of course also go to a copy shop and ask them to scan in your papers, and then you get a very good quality. So as you can see, I've already uploaded all my papers and decorative elements and added them to this folder in Canva. But because I'm using a physical paper collection and I'm not going to print out my papers after creating my album, I actually have to also insert all these papers which I uploaded to a digital paper stash in my digital mini album planner. Again, that's something I explained to you in my previous video, but it's basically to have all these decorative elements and papers be scaled in the correct size so that I can then use them in my digital templates of my interactive page starts. And that's actually super quick and easy to do because you have these templates in the digital mini album planner for different paper sizes. So this page is for 12 by 12 inch papers, and that's what I'm using. So I can just drag and drop all my papers which I uploaded into these templates of 12 by 12 inch size papers. And as you can see, I really like to organize them a little by pattern or like by colors so that I have a better overview of all the papers I have to use. And I just want to quickly mention here that for the solids in the second row, actually 3 of them didn't come with the collection kit, but I just grabbed them from my paper stash because I needed some more solid papers to go with my paper collection. Now, to add more papers, you could always just duplicate the whole page or just copy some of the papers to add to a new page, and then you can insert some more papers. And to the second page, as you can see, I just add all the papers with some decorative elements or cut parts on them so that I can better see them. So I actually divide the papers so that I can really see all the images. But yeah, how you are organizing your papers is really up to you. And you will actually see me reorganizing this page in a minute, but it's really just about your preferences and what's the best way for you to work with this digital stash in your planner. And as I said, I also got the 6 by 6 inch paper pad, so of course I also have to add my 6 by 6 inch papers to this digital paper stash. And of course, I also have templates for 6 by 6 inch papers, so again, it's super easy to do by just using drag and drop. And because I got the greeting cards in the size 5 by 7 inches, I actually added those templates to my mini album planner as well. So these templates didn't used to be in the planner, but as I said, for all of you who got my digital mini album planner already, you can always just click on the original template links and then you get all the updates for free. So that's something new I added to the planner. If you ever using 5 by 7 inch cards, you now will also find templates for this size. And I actually added some more fun things to this planner just recently, so make sure to watch my next video for this series because that's where I'm going to use these new features. So I added the cards in here and then I needed some more templates to add more cards to. So first I just copied those cards and added them to this page with the other 12 by 12 inch papers, and it doesn't matter like if different size elements are on the same page. So just make sure that you copy and paste them in wherever you find space to lay them down. And then just make copies to add some more papers, or in this case to add some more cards. So that's what I did here. I just copied those templates and then I could drag in the other cards. And as I said, I did some reorganizing of this page because I actually wanted to have all the decorative elements on just one page in this digital mini album planner. So I just cut down some papers or images and also deleted some things I knew I wouldn't use. For example, like these alpha stickers, I know I don't use them, so I could just cut or trim down this paper so that I no longer see the stickers. And then I also added all the 6 by 6 inch papers with some cutter parts on them as well. And depending on how many decorative elements you have, this might take some time, but it's really worth it in the end because then it's super easy to work with these digital paper stash when decorating your album. Now, the last thing I added here are the ephemera pieces, and the way I did that is by also scanning them in. So as you can see, I laid them onto a blue pattern paper, like this dark blue, so that it has a high contrast background, and then I scanned them in onto a 12 by 12 inch sheet. So now again, I could just use my 12 by 12 inch template, and I know that the sizes of the stickers, not stickers, but the ephemera pieces are now in the correct scale. And then I used one of these AI tools, which actually just come with a Canva Pro subscription. So again, you definitely can work with this planner by only having the free Canva account. But Canva definitely has some great pro features which I enjoy using, even though they're not necessary to work with this planner, they are handy to have. And one of them is to actually remove the background. And as you can see, it works so well with using ephemera pieces. So that's what I did here. I just removed the background and now I can use them as actual stickers in my digital mini album planner. But there are other ways to use stickers, especially when using a digital paper collection for which you wouldn't need this AI feature. So now I have all my papers and decorative elements added to this digital paper stash, and as you can see, I just have them being on 3 pages. So now I'm going to copy those 3 pages and actually paste them at the beginning of this digital mini album planner right before my album cover. And now we can start designing our album by adding interactive page styles and decorating our pages. And first I want to decorate my album cover, but because I'm using a physical paper collection, I also need to use my cutting mat for the album cover. So that's something I need to grab, and then I'll also copy the page right behind my page with the album cover on it. And these cutting mats are just so that you can cut down your 12 by 12 inch papers to the correct size to include them on any element in your album. But for now, I actually leave my cutting mat just here, and then I start by simply dragging in my papers onto the album cover templates. And as you can see, when just using drag and drop, the paper actually gets scaled to the template which you're using. So now my 12 by 12 inch paper is actually in the size of the album cover, which would be 9 by 9.5 inches. And that's not the correct size. So you have to use the cutting mat in order to get the right scaling of your papers. But again, for now, I'm happy with just using drag and drop for finding the papers I want to use on this album cover. Because with using drag and drop, it's much easier to just change papers and actually find the perfect combination of papers. And then at the end, once I'm happy with my paper choice, I can still go ahead and use my cutting mats to find the correct scaling. And for the back cover, I actually knew that I wanted to use this paper with a koala in the corner, and I think it looks really great, so I will just leave it like this. And then another option, if you want to see the correct scaling already, you could also just double click on the template and then just estimate what the paper is supposed to look like. And if you have done mini albums before, you can quite easily eyeball it. So I just double click on the template and then I enlarge my papers and I can see the cutout of the album cover. And I know this is around 9 and 9.5 inches when I cut down a 12 by 12 inch paper. And for the front cover, I definitely have to say that this is my favorite paper in the collection because it goes so well with all the decorative elements. I really like this green and the leaves on it. And then, as always, I of course also need to add a frame to my album cover. And I really like adding those window frames, but for this album I decided to go with just a scallop frame. And I could just click on the decoration button to go to my frames. But what I did instead now is I actually duplicated this whole design in Canva. So I just duplicated the tab actually. So then I have this tab open 2 times and I can just switch between these tabs. And the reason for that is that I'm going to use all the decorative elements included in this planner a lot, especially the frames. And I could always switch like between the album or the pages I'm working on and then the decoration, which is at the end of these like 370 page design. But it's easier to actually have two tabs open, and then you can just click on the tab and grab another frame if you want to use another one. And I just added this 4x6-inch frame to the front cover, and then for decorating it, so for the paper in the frame, I actually used this solid cardstock in this like greenish color. And I'm actually going to use this frame to add the title of this album, or actually I'm going to add the name of the baby I'm making this album for. So I'm just going to leave it like this for now, and then I'm deciding on which papers to use on the spine of the album. And I didn't really like to include some pink colors because I wanted this to match the back cover. And I saw that there is some blue right next to the koala, so I wanted one of the blue papers. And I couldn't really decide between this like plate pattern paper and then the one with the stars, but at the end I decided to go with the star one. And then I also wanted to include some more decorative elements to the front cover. So I decided to look for stickers which I could include on the frame. And the way I'm grabbing those stickers now is I have already like removed the background just so that I can see the stickers better, but I'm actually using a different tool now. So the tool I'm using is like this magic grab tool, and it works so great. As you can see, it already knows like what the stickers are, so you can just click on them, and I clicked on the koala, and then you can just copy them and grab them from the paper. And I really love how well this tool works. So I'm just grabbing this sticker or like the ephemera piece, and I actually locked my album cover in place first so that it wouldn't like drag into the papers or into the templates. And now I can just find a great position for this ephemera piece. So I added the koala ephemera to the left corner of the frame, and then I was looking for some like tags to also include. And I was actually looking at this like cut apart page from the 6x6-inch paper pad, and then I simply copied it and laid it right next to my album cover first. And then I just trimmed down this 6x6-inch paper to the tag I want to use. And I couldn't really decide which of those three tags I want to include, but it doesn't matter. Like for now, I just want to trim it down to the correct size. And then I positioned this tag, and I actually had to change the layer because I wanted the koala to lay onto the tag. And I also want to mention here that when you're getting this digital mini album planner, you get access to a free 2.5 hour video class in which I talk about all the features and I show you exactly how to work with this planner and how to work with Canva. And as you can see, I also had another look at which tag to use, and it's so simple to do with this planner because you can just double click on the cutout and then find another cutout if you don't like using this one. And because I felt like there's something missing, I was looking for another ephemera piece. And I also really liked these floral pieces, but I decided to add another of those animal ephemera pieces. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure if that is a possum or just a mouse or maybe a bandicoot. I'm not sure really, but it's a cute animal, and I just added it behind the tag as well as behind the koala. And after changing the tag again, I was actually quite happy with what the front cover looked like. So now I was focusing on the spine of the album because I wanted to add something more here. And the first thing I added here is this scallop frame. And this scallop frame actually comes in a size which hasn't been originally included in my mini album planner. And the reason for that is that I just included scallop frames in the sizes for standard journaling cards or cut aparts. And this was not a size I needed to work with other collections such as Simple Stories, Echo Park, or Cartabella, or American Crafts. But then with this Kaisercraft collection, I really liked using these smaller tags, and I actually just designed the frame for it so that it would match perfectly. And whenever I'm designing something new, which I am using in this planner and I can also use in future albums I make, I will just add it to the digital mini album planner. So again, if you got the planner already, make sure to always update your links by just clicking on the original link, and then you will see all the updates and all the free fun new things I included. Okay, so now I'm adding one of those tags and I actually couldn't decide which one to use. So for now, again, I'm just trimming down my papers, and then I actually need to make sure that the frame fits the tag. So I just lock the frame in position, and then I can use it kind of like a cutting mat as well. So I can just lay my tag onto it and then trim it down to fit the frame. And then again, I'm just double checking if this is the cutout I want to use or if I find a better one. And I actually decided to go with this bundle of joy instead. So yeah, that's what I'm choosing here. And then I also wanted to add another ephemera piece. And I actually couldn't really decide what to add here, so I was just trying different ephemera pieces out. But then in the end, I decided to go with the kangaroo, and I just placed it behind this little scallop frame. And with that, I was quite happy with how the front cover, the spine, and the back cover turned out. And now I'm checking for the correct scaling and sizes of the pattern papers I used on the album cover. So for this, again, we have to use the cutting mats. So first I'm going to my paper stash and copying the papers I'm using on the spine and the front cover. I then can simply paste them onto the cutting mats, and then I can use the elements here as templates for trimming down the papers to the correct size. That's also super quick and easy to do, and once the papers are trimmed down, you can then drag them into the templates. So again, I have to unlock my album cover here, and then I can just drag in my paper. And as you can see, there's not a lot of difference here because I actually already enlarged my patterns by just eyeballing it, and I apparently did quite a good job. So yeah, but still I wanted to double check so that I know that this is the correct scaling of the patterns and the correct size. And now that the album cover is already decorated, I can continue by designing my first double page. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I just want to quickly mention here that the way I'm doing my interactive mini albums is by using a mix and match system. And that means that every time I'm making a mini album, I actually choose my interactive page styles from a collection of 50 different interactive page styles. And then I just mix and match them throughout my album, making my album completely different to the album I've previously made. And then of course you can decorate your album for any theme or occasion. And this way I've made tons of different albums. But for more information on how to exactly use this system and what you would need to make those albums, I will just link my information video in the description box and also in the right corner right now. And if you have watched previous project shares of mine, then you know that I most likely would add my page style #1, which is a pocket with a flap closure, to the inside of my front cover, because that's what I'm always ending up choosing. But for this album, I decided to not use my page style #1, but instead I chose a very classic waterfall page style, which is my favorite page style, #25. And because I know that the decorative elements are mainly in portrait style, I'm going for the second option here. So I'm just choosing the waterfall in this portrait photo style. And then I just copy my page style and place it onto my first double page and actually onto the inside of the front cover. And then I'm also grabbing all the options for the open page style of page style 25. So you always get the option of the closed page style and then the open page style as well. So now when I click through these pages, you can see that all these options actually show me every single photo I can then plan in this album to later be printed out and added to my physical album. And then same as for my album cover, I would also need the cutting mat for this page style. So I can just click on this like little scissor button here, and then I go to the cutting mat, copy my page with the cutting mat on it, and just add it to my album right behind or in front of the page I'm using this for. But as said before, I'm not using the cutting mat just now because first I just want to have a look at which papers and which decorative elements I want to use. And for this page style, I actually thought it would be great to add one of those greeting cards. And again, they are in the size 5 by 7 inches. So I was just trying out the different options of greeting cards I have. But then for this one with the parents, on here, I noticed that if I would have to trim it down, which I have to do because this is a 4 by 6 inch element, it might not look as good. So instead I went with this kangaroo, just the single kangaroo saying it's a girl. And then for the other waterfall pages, I really like to just use some solid cardstock. And I actually just went with the green and like gray cardstock, and then I changed it to the brown cardstock. So just matching the colors on the greeting cards a little, and then I just repeated them for these waterfall pages. And then for the background, I wasn't really sure which pattern paper to use. I actually really liked this one with the dots on it in the pink color. I also like the pattern paper with the leaves, but as I already know that this paper goes well with almost everything in this collection, I was thinking to keep it because, as I said, I don't have as many papers of each design. And then I also liked the plate one in this like pinkish color. So yeah, I wasn't really sure, and then I decided that first I will go and add something to the right side because, as always, I also want to match my right side of this double page. And usually with my page flaps, I like to keep them simple and don't add any interactive page styles. And that's something I would recommend you to do, or at least be mindful like how many interactive page styles you add and how heavy those are. So usually I would just leave them and just add some like photos or stickers on here. But I decided that for this like first page flap, I'm actually going to add a page style which is not as thick and not as heavy. So I'm not adding any like journal or something on here, like page style 21, for example. But instead, I would just add my page style number 4, which is like a gatefold page style. And yeah, I just wanted to include it on here. Now for decorating this page style, I actually chose my favorite pattern paper from this collection with the leaves on it because I thought that now I wouldn't need it in the size 8 by 8 inches, but instead I would be okay with using some scraps from my 12 by 12 inch papers when cutting down to 8 by 8 inches. So I knew that I probably have left those scraps anyway, so that's why I used them on this gatefold page. And all my page style templates with like magnet closures or any kind of swing closures do have like the heart shape as kind of a default, but they can just be deleted and swapped for another shape. So what I'm using here instead of the heart is I'm actually using this circle scalloped die cut piece. So this comes with the planner as well with my scallop frames. So I'm just going to my another open tab, and then I'm just copying the scallop frame and lay it onto my page style. And I really wanted to add a journaling card into the frame, so I was looking at the cutter parts from the 12 by 12 inch sheets, and there are actually like 3 cards with some like quotes on them which I could use. So first I again just trimmed them down, and I'm actually using the scallop frame as like a template, so I'm just locking it into place, and then I can lay my card onto the frame and actually trim it down to the size of the circle first. And then after trimming it down, you can just drag it into the frame. So you have to unlock the frame and then just drag in your card or paper, and then it will be in the exact size you cut them down to. And that's the way of knowing that this one would actually fit in this circle frame. And then I went back to having another look at which paper to use on the left side, and I also tried out some of the other journaling cards for the scallop frame closure on the page style number 4. And with this like white journaling card, I thought it wouldn't fit as well. So I was trying out this blue one instead, and I actually liked it. Actually, I liked it a lot with the blue pattern paper on the left side. So this would have definitely been an option, but I went back to the pink journaling card instead, and then I was still deciding between the dotted paper and the plate paper. And to be honest, I think either option is great, but at the end I went with a plate paper, and that's mainly because I knew that the backside of the other paper I like a little more, so I will definitely also use the backside of the paper. So I wanted to save up this paper, and that's why I went with the plate paper instead. And now again, I want to make sure that the scaling of the papers are correct, so I'm using my cutting mats here. And first I'm just grabbing my papers from the stash, and then I can just lay them onto the cutting mat and cut them down to the correct size of the different elements. And with these pattern papers A for the gatefold page, you can perfectly see that the scaling of the patterns are not correct if you're not trimming them down to the correct size. So before, when just dragging in my papers with the leaves on them, I actually didn't do the estimation of the size. So you can really see the difference between just dragging in the papers and then having the papers be trimmed down first and then dragged in. And I also need to trim down the 5x7-inch card, so I'm just grabbing the card from my stash and then I lay it onto this template for pattern paper A for my page style number 4, and then I can just trim it down first and find the cutout I want to use. And you can also find the cutout after you have already dragged it into the template, which I think is just great because you can still move it around and find the perfect position and cutout you want to use. And that's it for today's video. So again, this is the first video of a series of videos. So in the next video, we will of course continue by decorating and planning the next double pages. So yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this first video. And if you did, I would love to get your feedback in the comments down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to also leave them in the comments. And then I would love to see you in my next video. Bye!